Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host, Steven. Today, we're talking about the Rolling Stone Amplified the Immersive Rock Experience. I went to see this last night with a few friends, and I was really looking forward to this because I love music. So I thought this is going to be something really, you know, gangbusters, and I was kind of a little bit underwhelmed by it. So I'll go through some of the various things that what happens during this thing. So first off, you walk in, and there's basically the cases where they would carry the equipment if there's a rock show. So you basically the stuff where they would carry the amplifiers, the guitars, or whatever, and you sit there for about 20 minutes waiting to get to the next section, which I thought was odd that you have to wait. You can't just look at it. There's walkie talkies where, I guess the crew would talk to each other. You didn't hear anything, so I was just playing with my friends that were going, Roger, Roger, 10-4, good buddy. We just did ridiculous things waiting for something to happen. They say sometimes you hear things, but we didn't hear anything. So we waited about 20 minutes to walk into the next section. So the next section is basically looks almost like you're walking into Austin Powers' house. So it looks very 70s feel. There's psychedelic little lights going on. And in the corner of the room is a guitarist. And he's playing, I think he played a Zeppelin song, he played an Ozzy song, a Black Sabbath song, Eagles, Hotel California, and a couple other snippets here and there. And you have to stay there for 30 minutes waiting to get to the next section. Nothing really happening, but really funky lights. So we kind of made fun of saying we should all dress up next time, come back to this thing dressed up as characters from Austin Powers and do like, yeah, baby, do this stuff. So I don't know what the purpose of that was. And then you brings you into the main room where you basically they talk about, the drums are the driving force, the guitar player, everybody has a certain part, and no individual member is more important than the other, but each one has a special part in a group. And rock represents freedom. They showed every era of rock and roll, and then you get to see all snippets of certain performances of the Who, the Stones, the Beatles, um, a, a slew of everybody. There's everybody you can imagine, young and old. There's a portion where there's Radiohead singing a song in the studio. um, a whole bunch of pictures, and they show all the covers of every Rolling Stone magazine from the dawn of time, flashes. And I thought there'd be more. From what I understood, I thought you're going to be hearing like parts of a concert and be part of it because it says it's an immersive rock experience. And I just felt like I was watching another documentary. So I kind of felt a little shortchanged on it, and it's about in Montreal it was $42 and change for a ticket, which I think is about $20 too much. Because they say the whole thing takes an hour and a half. Yeah, because you're waiting in every section. The first two sections are 30 minutes each ballpark to get to the last one. So technically it should only be 30 minutes long. And then at the end there's souvenirs which are outrageously priced. I mean, they had vinyl records of Bowie for $58 or something, a bottle, water bottle for $29.99, and I'm like, I wouldn't buy any of it. It's just overpriced. I think it's a great idea. I thought there could be one point, maybe you put on like virtual reality glasses and feel like you're part of the crowd of something. There was a couple of quizzes that I was on. I did pretty well since I know quite a lot about music, so I was okay with it. Let there be more quizzes. I thought it would be more like an interactive thing, like choose your favorite albums. There was a few mistakes because they said that Pearl Jam and the Foo Fighters released iconic live albums. I don't think so. I know Kiss released Alive, which is iconic. The Who live at Leeds is iconic. They didn't mention that. So I thought there was a few questionable errors on their part. I was surprised they played Kiss stuff because Rolling Stones usually ignores Kiss. I know when Freddie Mercury died, Kiss's drummer Eric Carr died around the same time, and he was never mentioned. So I was impressed that they showed a few snippets of Kiss, and they actually played Rock and Roll Night. And also at the end, they played, God Gave Rock and Roll to You, not the Kiss version. So it was interesting that they kind of acknowledged them after all this time. So that was nice for me being a Kiss fan. I was really appreciative of that. But overall, I'm going to say it's an underwhelming experience. There could have been so much more. I thought when you first walk in with the gear, you could open up the cases and see fake guitars, drumsticks, and just pretend that or see them stacked up the amplifiers and or move them around. Do something that gets you involved. The second section, excuse me, that the guy's playing guitar. He's a great guitar player. Whoever this guy in Montreal is, you are sensational, and I love you played every genre spot on, and I recognize the song instantaneously. So kudos to this young man who played guitar there. Fantastic. What the point of sitting there listening to him and having these psychedelic lights hit you? There should have been posters of tours, you know, um, maybe a breakdown. Let's say, the Who, how much they made on this tour, Kiss, the Rolling Stones, how many tours they've done, knowledge of rock and roll, something, trivia, throw stuff out. By the way, Tattoo You was made up of leftover tracks from other albums, something to get you involved because it's immersive. And I didn't feel immersed. I just felt I was walking through a documentary. So I think for the amplified experience, I don't recommend it at that price. I'm going to have to say no. Unless you really have nothing to do that day and it's a rainy day and you're out in downtown Montreal, I felt shortchanged. I felt it was overpriced and it lacked a lot of the stuff to get you connected. They're talking about music connects us. And I didn't feel, I felt I was just watching a documentary. And instead of watching it at home, I watched it on a big wall. And that's great that the big wall is like they're showing all this stuff. It's great, but I could have seen that on my TV. And it should be something that I said, I shouldn't see this on my TV, that I should see it there because it's iconic. And I didn't feel that way. I just felt like another documentary. And I think Amplified fails in that regard. I don't recommend it. Like I said, unless you really have nothing to do and you're bored out of your skull. Because anybody who likes music knows much more than what they offered us there. And that's my bit on it. You let me know what you think. Have you seen it? Do you like it? If you do, congrats. I did not. I was very, very disappointed. As so as my colleagues, or not colleagues, my friends who came with me, felt like we thought there'd be much more to this. I think there should be much more. If Rolling Stone wants to make a good experience, contact me at Aroundtable. I can fix it and make it really great, and you can charge a lot more money and make it a really like a connection with it. I can help you with that. This is me from the Aroundtable, wishing you the best. Do yourself a favor, give it a whirl if you got nothing to do. I don't recommend it at this point. I think they have a lot of work to do, but that's me, and I'll be seeing you soon, guys. Ciao.